Yeah,
where Krishna
exactly.
talks about how who's desirous of liberation, like moksha kangshibiha, they should perform act without desiring fruitive result.
Exactly.
So that is like a sannyas, a conception that is there. Now, there is also another conception that Krishna spoke in 12th chapter, where he talks about sarva karma phala tyagam, renounce all the fruits of all the action. So that is also where Krishna talks about tyag, the conception of renouncing the fruit. Now, again, Arjuna is trying to bring both of them together, like
Yeah.
concept of sannyas and tyag, and just try to understand that much more in detail. Like, just as Krishna talked about the different kinds of modes, like goodness, passion, ignorance, in which everything can be categorized.
Yeah.
If there is any such conception that can also be applied over here in relation to tyag. So
Exactly.
that is what Krishna will also now talk about, how it can also be categorized in three modes, depending on the various nature of the person.
Yeah. So I can see you have access to the commentaries of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur.
Yes.
I can see that. Good. Exactly. So this is exactly the answer. And because remember, basically the 18th chapter is dealing with different types of three types, sannyas, gyan, and karma. That's going to be the 18th chapter. And it defines liberation also. But as usual, it culminates into bhakti. Uh, That's the overall conclusion of the Gita in and of itself, bhakti, 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 bhakti. Okay, so it goes without saying that actually that was my second question. Did you detect what the 12 first shlokas are all about? How did we start this Gita? What was the type of yoga defined in the beginning?
Karma Yoga.
Yeah. So it flows that in the beginning of the 18th chapter, what are we going to talk about?
About
Karma Yoga.
renunciation.
Karma yoga. Yeah.
Karma Yoga.
Because remember, it's a recap. When you do a recap, you start from the scratch and you go up. And we have to keep in mind, I think it was, that was the third question. Can you make out the neat link starting from chapter 13 to 17? I don't know if you have been able to keep the thread from 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. There's a thread there. And that thread starts from one particular shlok in the 13th chapter. This shlok practically is the hinge of the door. You have seen any door is turning on hinges, at least two or three. So this shlok practically articulates the whole third module. Which shlok is that in the 13th chapter?
13th chapter?
Yeah. That shlok in the 13th chapter, I would say this is the hinge, the hinges. These are the hinges of the door. You know, if you want a door to turn, it needs hinges. So in the same way, the whole 6 last chapters of the Gita, they move on this shlok.
Yeah.
They stem from this shlok. Practically speaking, the 6 chapters are this particular shlok I'm referring to unpacked. If you unpack that shlok, you get the 6 chapters of the last 6 chapters. So what is that shlok in the 13th chapter?
13.4.
Yeah, well, it's 13.4 is definitely, I would say, the hinge of the 13th chapter, definitely. But the hinge of the last module would be, if you ask me, 1322. Purusha prakriti stohi, bhunte prakriti jan gunan, karanam guna sangosya, sadasatyo nityanyasu. What does it mean, Goloka, this verse, 1322?
Okay. So living entities follows the ways of life, follows the life and follows the ways of life. They act according to the free modes of material nature.
Yes.
Yeah, and what? And they
Sadasat Yoni Janmasu.
so, and they meet with both goods and evil.
Very good. So see, the whole spectrum of the mechanisms of the three modes are there. Is there, sorry, in 1322. We contact the modes. Because we contact the modes, we become entangled, even though we are Prakriti 7-5, we are Prakriti, Jiva Bhuta Mahabaho, we are called Purush by the Lord himself. Is it a misnomer? Is it a misuse of the term? No. If he's calling us Purush, there's a reason for it. Because we harbor this Purush Abhiman. So then, if we consider 1322 as I would say, if you open up 1322, it's going to give chapter 14. How the modes affect us, in what details. And we see the breakdown, chapter 14, basically. It's Gunatraya Vibhag, Yoga. How the modes are affecting us. And not only in all walks of life, in terms of action, in terms of determination, in terms of food. Everything is broken down very minutely. But at the end of the 14th chapter, what do we hear at the end? By Krishna himself, which is one of the key verses you have to learn by heart.
The one who engage in full devotional service
Exactly.
can overcome.
Mam Shayove Bicharina, Bhakti Yogena Sivate, Sagunan Samati Chetan, Brahma Puja Jakakute. It starts from there. Bhakti starts from there, actually. Nirgun, Ajabicharini Bhakti, Bhakti Yogena Sevate. Below that, it's apprenticeship. We are apprenticed. We are learning the job. Apprentice woodworker is working under a maestro, under a seasoned master, seasoned carpenter. So, and then let's move on into the 15th chapter. What's the connection between the 14 and the 15? We have seen 14th chapter, the detailed description of the modes are there. Then it brings us to the image of the banyan tree. Remember?
Yeah.
The banyan tree in the 15th chapter, it's like inverted banyan tree because it is a reflection from the real tree in the spiritual world. Why does it reflect? What is the via medium of that reflection? If you see a reflection on the pool of water, what makes it in the first place that it reflects?
The free
It
modes.
originally exists in its pure form.
Yeah, in other words, desire. If there is no separate desire to enjoy separately from Krishna, there is no water, there is no desire, there is no tree, there is no inverted tree. So in the analogy of the banyan tree, the water stands for the desire. It echoes, it echoes badly. I don't know what he said.
Maybe me.
It echoes quite badly. So, in other words, Bayam Vitya Bini Vishetasa Syat Ishadapitasya Vipayaya Smritihi. As soon as we Dvitiya, as soon as we Abhinivishata, we absorb ourselves in something which is apparently different from Krishna. It's only apparent, it's not possible. Apparently, it is different. As soon as we absorb ourselves, Dvitiya, in dual There's no duality. Everything is one because Krishna is everything, basically. So, but yet, due to free will, you absorb yourself. Then, abhinivishitasya syat ishadapetasya viparyaya smritihi is going to reverse our constitutional position from Jivera Svarupoi, Krishna Jidas, we become either God himself or, even worse, competitor of God. So then, because of that, only there is a reflection, because the desire is wayward. We want to enjoy separately. Thus, there is water. If there is no water, if there is no desire, there's no water. If there is no water, there's no reflection. If there is no reflection, there's no material world. As simple as that. As simple as that. Why this material world exists? Because there's unlimited quantities of wayward desires, separate from Krishna. Otherwise, there's no need for the material world. So Banyan Tree, 15th chapter, there's two types of branches, remember? The higher branches, divine, but still material. Divine in the sense that you become a demigod, you're pious, you follow Shastra, right? Lower branches of the tree, it's inverted tree, demonic. You don't follow Shastra. Yashistra, what is that verse? 1623, you reject Shastra. And then it follows, 16th chapter, of course. What happened to you? What happened to you if you reject Shastra? It's very clear, very clearly defined in the 16th chapter. Practically the whole chapter is dealing with Asuri Sampat. You see the flow? All this from 1322. Huh? And then 17th chapter, Arjun comes up with a very pertinent question. What is it?
What happens to those who don't follow Shastra?
Yes, but yet, Shradan Vitaha, Shradayon Vitaha, 17.1, they have faith. They have faith. They are possessed of faith, but yes, you're right, they don't follow Shastra. Ya Shastram Vidim, Utsridya, just like 1623. So, in other words, Krishna is going to answer right away in the beginning of 17th chapter. Yes, Arjun, they have faith, they have Shraddha, but in the modes. In the modes. And again, he's going to break it down. Again, there is echo. Goloka, I don't know what's going on.
I know.
There's
The machine that is next.
What's that?
Heater.
I can't hear you.
The heater.
Oh, I see. You need to put the fan on the computer. No? Anyway, I didn't get it. So 17th chapter, Krishna is answering, remember? Everyone's faith is based on the modes, which reflects the modes that dominate the heart. So if you break it down, it stems from the heart, because the soul is in the region of the heart, right? So whichever modes dominate the heart will in turn reflect on the mind. And that particular color of the mind, kamatmakam, will instigate the type of worship, the type of religion, the type of faith that you're going to follow, the type of water, the type of friends, the type of place where you live, the type of association, how you deal with your son, how you eat, how you speak. Everything is there. Everything is touched by the modes. Why? 1322. Bhungti Prakritijan Gunan. Because of that sentence in only, because we have contacted the modes. Because we have contacted the modes, Krishna is giving us 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Can you imagine? And 18 is just a recap of the whole book. Just that sentence. Bhungte Prakriti Jan Guna. To explain that line, Krishna is giving us 5 chapters. You follow?
Yes, Prabhu.
So how important is 1322? Just imagine. But technically speaking, you're right. Technically, the Gita stops there, but it's a synopsis. But we have noticed also, even though Krishna digresses on different topics, mostly the modes, still, it doesn't fail to conclude practically in each and every chapter, yes, that the goal is bhakti. 15, he concludes, 16, 14, 26. Okay, so let's start. 18:1, sorry.
Yeah. 18.1. Arjuna said, O mighty armed one, I wish to understand the purpose of renunciation, tyaga, and of the renounced order of life, sannyas. O killer of the Keshi demon, master of the senses.
Yes. So that was one of my questions actually. Does it sound familiar, this question of Arjuna? I mean, it's not exactly phrased the same way, but the essence remains the same. When did we hear the same old query of Arjuna? Especially in the first 6 chapters.
Yeah.
Is this the same old
I
stuff?
mentioned it as 5.1.
Yeah, even prior to that, I would say 3.1 even. 3.1, 5.1, I agree, Vignesh. Look at 3.1. Arjuna is confused, remember? Why do you want me to engage in this ghastly warfare if you think that intelligence is better than fruitive work? Then 5.1 sounds the same. Basically, it drives the same point home. Should we work or should we renounce work? Let's hear 5.1. First of all, you ask me to renounce work, and then again, you recommend work with devotion. Now, will you kindly tell me, definitely, which one of the two is more beneficial? See, this is the same long-winged question, which it keeps on hammering, because that's the key question of the Gita, basically. Should we renounce work altogether, leave, walk away from our duties, because we are sick and tired, basically, of this whole world, and there's plenty of reason for that. It's true. Or should we stick it out, but change the nature of our consciousness and keep on working, but in a devotional manner? This is, again, 18.1. I wish to understand the purpose of renunciation. He wants to know tyag and the renounce of the law of life. So he's putting it in different words, but it means the same. You follow, Goloka?
So is it like we are just
Yeah.
using the same word in a different way? Like in 5.1, Krishna talks about karma sannyas and karma yoga. Now here we're talking about sannyas and tyag.
Yes.
Just
And
the difference of words.
yes, but it seems that the way he phrases it, it seems that there's a difference. For a layman, they will find difference. A tyagi and a sannyasi will definitely, in the mind of many, they are two different fellows. But Krishna is going to be very, very clear in a couple of verses. You will see. What is he going to say? There's no difference. There's no difference. So Arjuna is playing the dummy in one sense, because by now he has proven times and times again, 10, 12, Param Brahma, Param Dham, Pavitramidam Uttamam. You are the supreme, you are the supreme Brahman, you are the most pure. I know. Whatever you said is true. Vyas, Asita, Deval, they have confirmed it. I fully agree to their opinion. He knows. But for the sake of the recap, he's still putting this trite question. So if the words sannyas and tyag have different meanings, I desire to know the distinct essence of the two.
Yeah.
Basically. And if they mean the same thing, in your opinion, my dear Krishna, or others' opinions, I don't mind hearing others, I desire to know what is the one meaning. What is that one meaning as well? See? And that is why, did you notice, that was another question of mine. Why is he calling Krishna 3 different names in 18.1? Can you imagine? Rishikesh, Keshinishudan,
Mahabahu.
Mahabaho. Usually Mahabaho is for Arjun, but Krishna must be having pretty strong arms too. So he's calling him Mahabaho. So why is he in the same verse? He's calling, just like I call you Goloka, 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 you know, it means I want to speak to you. If I say Goloka, 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 no, there's something I'm calling you. So in the same way, he's got this doubt. Of course, we know he's putting a show. Yes, but you are the instigator of my intelligence, Krishna. You killed Keshi Nishudan. You killed that just like Keshi killed. Krishna killed Keshi, sorry. So killed my doubt. And of course, we call Arjun Mahabaho, but who is he compared to Krishna? Who is he? So he knows Arjun is not a fool. He knows the real Mahabaho is Krishna. So he basically is pummeling the question. He wants to clear that doubt. You follow, Goloka?
He's just trying to put forward how powerful Krishna is, you know.
Yeah. So it's
And-
important. This is practically the key point of the Gita, if you ask me. What is the goal of renunciation and of the renounced order of life? What is it? Should one work while remaining detached from the fruits of work, nishkam, kama yoga? Or should one renounce activities altogether to perform jnana yoga?
I say the goal of renunciation is for spiritual advancement.
Yeah. If you read the purport of 18.1, Srila Prabhupada is very clear. So, of course, Baladevi Jayabhushan shed some technical lights, you know, as usual, is always ahead of us, is unclear. Is putting thoughts in the mind of Arjuna as to his unclarification to the Lord's meaning, particularly in the verse 513. Because in 513, I don't know if you remember, the word sannyas appears. I don't know if you remember that verse. When the embodied soul, living being, controls his nature and mentally renounces all actions, he resides happily in the city of 9 gates. So he wants to clarify this 513 and also 420, which in 420, the word is there, tyagva. Tyagva means tyag, basically. Abandoning all attachment to the results of his activities. So he wants to clarify the uses of those two terms, sannyas in 513 and tyagva or tyag in 420. And again, do they have complete different meanings? Like you could say mountain and tree, you know, like totally apart. Or do they have congruous meanings? Like if you say kuru and pandav, these are congruous terms. One is included into the other. The Pandavas are Kurus, we know that. So it's very close, congruous meanings. Do they have separate identities, sannyas and tyag? Is it a superficial quasi-distinction between the two? I want to know, Arjun. He's pressing. expressing the answer. It's quoting Krishna's 3 different names for that matter. Okay? So this is the start of the Sannyas Moksha Yoga is called in Sanskrit in this 18th chapter. Sannyas Moksha Yoga. So we're going to discuss a lot about moksha. Okay, so stop me if you have any. You need clarification. Let's go for 18.2.
Okay. 18.2. Sorry. Okay. I will go there. The Supreme Lord said, to give up the results of all activities is called renunciation, tyag, by the wise. And that state is called the renounced order of life, sannyas, by great learned men.
Yeah. So did I ask this question? Who to whom Lord Krishna is referring to here in 2? Is speaking, yes, but is he quoting his opinion? Yes or no? Sometimes we say in English, don't put words in my mouth. You know this expression. So here is speaking, no doubt, Sri Bhagavan Uvaj. But to whose opinion is he referring to? This is my question. Look at the Sanskrit.
Yeah, Kavi, he talks about the wise sages of the ancient
Yes.
times.
So please explain. You got it right. You got it. So very good start. Vishakshanaha. Vishakshanaha means the experienced, means the wise. He's going to talk about their opinion. He knows he's God. He knows everyone's opinions. Okay, what does he say? What do we learn in 2?
He basically talks about how in Vedic scriptures there are different conceptions are mentioned. All this conception of sannyas and tyag is already mentioned.
Yes.
It's like, intermixed here and there in the various Vedic scriptures as given by the sages. So now Krishna is just summarizing that in a very simple way by differentiating between sannyas and tyag based on all the teachings of all the scriptures and the sages.
Yeah, exactly. So Vishwanath is saying on this one, taking up the former idea first, the Lord explains the different derivations of the 2 words. To renounce, nyas, at the very root activities performed for fulfilling personal desires. Kamyanam kamanam is called sannyas. It appears in 2. Kamyanam kamanam nyasam. So kamyanam kamanam refers to what? It refers to what? What do you think, Goloka?
People perform sacrifice, suppose want a good son or something. Exactly. And perform sacrifice,
Exactly.
Just to get some fruitive result.
That is why Baladev was quoting 420. The term sannyas is mentioned in 420. And Kamayanam Kamanam Nyasam means giving. Nyasam means sannyas. Sannyas comes from the term nyas, to give up. Giving up activities based on material desire. Basically, kamakand, sakami. It's called kanya karma. So, yes, you're right, Goloka. Yagya, to obtain a child, this kind of stuff. So he's saying here, I mean, not Krishna, he's quoting, but he's quoting the Vishakshanaha, the wise. They're saying, the wise, that sannyas means giving up those things. Second line, kamyanam kamanam nyasam, give up those 2 things. And then he goes, savakarma fal tyagam. What does it mean here? It means nishkam kama yoga. 513, 928, 1211 also. Giving up the results of all activities. Nishkam kama yoga. Sava kama fal tyagam. So the conclusion is, and we're going to come to that conclusion anytime, sannyas means what? Give up work based on material desires. That's karmakan. Because the karmakan, remember, they are kamya karmas. They stick to the Vedic formulas, but for the sake of fulfilling the material desires. So the Vishakshanaha, they're saying here, give up that. Give up work. So basically they're saying give up karmakan. And then he's quoting also the Vishakshanaha for the sake of defining tyag. Tyag means give up results. So in one sense here, tyag is closer to us. This is real renunciation, Nishkam Karma Yoga. You follow?
Yeah.
So in one sense, we could say where the devotees stand in that verse. If I ask you out of the blue, it's still echoing Goloka. I don't know. Are you aware of that? There's a great echo. So where would the devotees fall into one of those two categories here, sannyas or tyag? What do you think?
Devotee should be tyag.
Yeah, I would say devotees are even beyond, because yukta viragya. You know what is the verse in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu? Prapanchikataya buddhya hari samadhi vastunaha mumukshubhi parityago viragyam falgu kachate. This is falgu viragya. Falgu viragya means, oh, superficial viragya. Oh, this is maya, this material world is maya. I reject it. Mumukshubhi parityago viragyam falgu kachate. So, oh, this is detrimental to my advancement, this world. It's all maya, to hell with everything. This is falgu, artificial, superficial viragya. But then the second, back to back, the other verse. What is it? How does it go? They go back to back, those two verses.
Anasaktasya.
Yes. Anashaktasya vishanyataha, yupajunyataha, nirmanda Krishna sambandhe, yuktam viragyam uchyate. Yes, thank you. This is the one. So devotees are beyond, in one sense, 18.2, because Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yogam Shishatameka Purusha Puranaha. This is the verse of, I think it's Kavikarnapur, that verse, or perhaps Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya, either or. This is the real Vairagya. Is quoting Mahaprabhu here. Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yogam Shikshatam Ek Purusha Puranaha. Whatever doesn't foster your Krishna consciousness should be rejected. Mahaprabhu goes one step further, even more steps further. They're saying, okay, we have to utilize everything. Great, that's already Rupa Goswami. But that verse, I think it's Sarvabhaum, he's saying, whatever doesn't foster the Krishna consciousness should be rejected. And then we can quote also Rishabdev, Tapodivyam putraka yena sadvam shudyet brahmasokyam tvanantam. We should undertake, so what is tyag for us? We undertake activities, but not whimsically, just to reject the fruits. No. Tapodivyam putrakam yena sadvam shudyet, to purify the heart. Thus, brahmasokyam tvanantam, to access to real Brahmasuk, which is basically the real Brahmasuk is with Krishna in Golok or Navadvip. So devotees are always ahead of things, even beyond 18.2. Okay, is it clear, Goloka?
Yeah.
You're still with us? You stopped me.
I am.
So
I am.
this is very interesting. These verses are high, actually. They're very, Krishna defines the whole thing very neatly. So, okay, if it is clear, let's move on then. 3, Krishna gradually is going to reveal, not immediately. 3 is still quoting others, but very soon he's going to quote himself. 18.3.
18.3. Some learned men declare that all kinds of fruitive activities should be given up as faulty. Yet other sages maintain that acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance should never be abandoned.
See, it's quite opposite, isn't it? So please explain, Vignesh.
Yeah. So basically, again, Krishna is explaining the two different schools of philosophy. Some people say that everything should be given up, all the fruitive activities.
Yeah.
Like it could include the daily activities that we do as a part of Vedic custom, or occasional, and even the whatever we do as a part of deciding something, we do some yajna and all. Everything should be given up. And other sages say that the sacrifice like yajna, charity, dan, and the tapa should should be continued. It shouldn't be given up.
Yes. Very good. So let's define it, like you said. Manishinaha. Mani, same. Muni means Manishinaha. They're great thinkers. Muni, we say that. So basically, they are followers of Sankhya, according to Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. We're talking about, they're very learned, the Sankhyites. What do they say? All kind of fruitive activity should be given up. Full stop. Kamakanda, out the window. Killing animals, out the window. They reject everything. No fruitive activities at all. Basically, they trample on the Kamakandis. Now, Chapare means others. In that 18.3, there's two opinions. Manishinaha, then Chapare. Chapare means other. It's another philosophy. Basically, it's quite Vedic. They are quite, I would say, the Kamam Imams. Chapare. Yagyadan tapakama tyajam. They are closer to us in one sense. No, never give up those 3. Krishna will corroborate very soon. Never give up those 3. What are those 3?
Yajna, dan, tapa.
Very good. Should never be abandoned. These are the Kamam Imamsas. It's one of the Saddarshan philosophy, Kamam Imams. Krishna is going to quote Kamam Imams in that particular lila with Govardhan in the beginning. Why, my dear father, you worship Indradev? Why? What is the need? Water is falling everywhere. So what is the need? We don't have to. So he's quoting Kamam Imams in that particular passage of the 10th canto. Of course, he has an axe to grind because he wants them to abandon for the sake of using the paraphernalia for worshipping Govardhan. So is it clear? First opinion, Manishinaha, we are referring to the Sankhyites. Give up everything, especially the fruitive activities, basically give up Kamakand, animal killing and all. Then I would say the Kamam Imams, they're saying, no, it's Vedic, we have to stick to Yagya, Dan, and Tap. Never give up, Natya Jam. Is it clear, Goloka?
Yes, Prabhu.
You stop me if this is the time.
Yeah, I'm getting.
There's no problem.
You're talking about, some said we have to give up everything, the Sankar.
Yeah. So now, 4.
Okay. O best of Bharata, hear from me now about renunciation. O tiger among men, there are 3 kinds of renunciation declared in the scriptures.
Yeah. So now it's a different story. The boss is going to speak. It's different. He has been, sometimes a big man, he doesn't speak himself immediately. Let them speak first. This is like this. A big man will speak last. Let them speak first. Now he's going to speak. It's a different league. So what is he going to say here, basically? He's going to state his opinion. And what is he saying? Tyag has three types.
According to the mode of material nature, according
Exactly.
to the purport. Three kind of renunciation.
And he's going to, I would say, omit to describe these three types until verse 7. He's not going to reveal immediately, even though he declares in 4, yes, Tyag should be defined according to the modes, but he's not doing it right away. He won't do it before 7. And why does he do that? Because he wants to make it very clear that Tyag and Sannyas means the same, according to him. So who are we to listen to others when the Lord is going to tell us anytime Tyag and Sannyas are the same? Nischayam is saying for Shrinu, me. Nischayam, certainly hear my judgment. Final word. So it's very interesting. You can make a chart. It's very important to make a chart to keep it extremely user friendly, and it has to pop out in your mind. That's why one advice I would give you is Mind Mapper. It's going to cost you perhaps $40 a year or something. I've been using Mind Mapper for at least 30 years now. I don't know if you know Mind Mapper. It's excellent to make maps, mind maps, charts and stuff. At least for me, it pops out. It helps me a lot. So let's recap. The Vishakshanaha we discussed. We discussed in 2. When it comes to defining sannyas, what do they say? They reject karma karmas, basically, which is karma kand. And they give up material desires. They give up anything which is based on material desires. Then in 2, we discussed Tyag. Basically, Tyag means for us Nishkam Karma Yoga. You give up all results of all types of activities. Then in 3, we learn 2 opinions. One of the Gyanis and Sankhyaites, I can put them in the same bag. They reject also Kamiya karmas, karma kand, all these killing animals for the sake of yagya. And then we discuss in 3 also the karma mimamsis. They're telling us, no, you carry on. Yagya, dan, tap. Natyajam, never give up. Because it's Vedic. It cannot be faulty. Now in 4 and 5, let's go for 5, you will see.
Yeah. Text 5. Acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance are not to be given up. They must be performed. Indeed, sacrifice, charity, and penance purify even the great souls.
Yes. So now this is the Lord's opinion starting from 4. Be careful. It's a different, in your mind should be a different league. It's a different level of opinion. It's the Lord's opinion. Okay, we hear the opinions of 2, of 3. Okay, we appreciate, thank you. But starting from 4 is the Lord's speaking. So what do we retain at the end of the day? We retain 4 and 5, the Lord's opinion. And it's going to tell us in 7, from 7 to 12, it's going to tell us Trivida Tyag. Tyag is divided in 3, according to the modes. So Baladev is putting a very beautiful analogy here. Yagya dan tap karma. We are hearing here in 5 or 4 perhaps, I think it's 5, that even the great souls are purified. Who are way to stop midway? We are just baby boys and girls. Even the great souls. You have seen Karn. Karn is son of Indradev. Vivashwan. Still doing that. Never should be given up. So Baladev Bijabhushan put a beautiful analogy, I find it. Like the lotus stem has 3 fibers. You know the story, Vignesh? Lotus stem has fibers in it. So those 3 acts, they have fibers of Gyan inside these 3 activities. Beautiful. Those 3 activities, Yagya, Dan, Tap, they contain the fibers of knowledge. You follow? So that is why those fibers of knowledge purify the hearts and elevate one. We should never give up those 3.
I just want to offer my obeisances to the Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis.
Hare
Oh,
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Jai Prabhu.
I'll be quiet now. I'm just going to be in the background.
No, you can participate. We are into 1845.
Haribo!
Hare Krishna.
Okay. Okay. So let's move on. And is it clear 4 and 5, Goloka, Dinesh?
Yeah,
Yes.
Prabhu, I have one question.
Yeah.
Is it okay if you say that this verse normally applies to the householders? Because the giving charity, I think it doesn't apply to the who are literally have taken sannyas ashram or who are in the brahmacharya or vanaprastha ashram, right? So is it only applicable that all these 3 acts are not to be given up for the householders? If I say in that way.
Yeah, actually, Yagya, there's an echo somewhere again. When I speak, there's an echo. Okay, Yagya, Dan, and Tap, we cover the whole Vanashram here. Dan is for Grihastha. Yagya, you could say, is definitely for Grihastha. Even though in Krishna consciousness, Yagya, we do, what is the Yagya Vishnu? What is the Yagya for us?
Sankirtan yagya.
Sankirtan Yagya Prajantihi Sumadasaha. But, and the tap is mostly for basically Vanaprast, sannyas, So we have to understand Yagya Dana Tap, it covers the whole spectrum of Vanashram here. But by all means, it should not be given up. That's the lesson to retain here. Okay.
So does it apply also for a pure devotee? Like what I understood is that I have heard this somewhere that for a pure devotee, I'm talking about like Shuddha Bhakta,
Yeah.
there is no obligation to do either of the activities, like whether it be nitya, daily karma, or occasional, or even the kamya karma. Like for the pure devotee, because they are not indebted to anyone, right?
Yeah, true.
So does that apply to pure devotees as well?
Yeah, there's a verse in the 11th canto. It's quoted in the 1st chapter of the Gita. How does it go? Yeah, someone who practices pure devotional service doesn't have to, he can forego his duties towards his servants, the animals, etc., the kith and kin, like that. Yeah, you're right. But what I was trying to say is, I lost my thread actually. You sidetracked me.
Yeah, we are talking about yagya, dan, and tapa.
Yeah. So I lost my thread. We should never give up those 3, that's for sure, according to Baladev Vijayabhushan, according to Krishna. Anyway, let's move on. 6. Well, we haven't done 5. Do 5.
We are done with the 5. I just recited that 5.
Yeah, 6.
Okay. 6.
Yeah,
Okay.
6.
Go for 6 then.
All these activities should be performed without any expectation of result. They should be performed as a matter of duty or son of Prita. That is my final opinion.
Yeah. So now he's getting into the picture. He's getting really into the nitty-gritty of things, starting from 7 actually, but 6 already. He's telling us, what is telling us here? Which is the true standard of Tyag, if you ask me. 6 is what do we understand in terms of Tyag? This is revealed in 6. That's the true standard of Tyag. What is it? It's very clear.
Performing without attachment.
Yeah, or any expectation of result, which is the same basically. That should be performed as a matter of duty. So Buddha-Jan Prabhu used to tell us all the time, internal renunciation, external engagement. Externally active, internally renounce. Externally active, internally renounce. It was a mantra practically. I still remember. All the time. This is the essence of Krishna consciousness. Externally active, internally renounce. Because those 2 lines encompasses the whole spectrum of Krishna consciousness. Everything that leads to Krishna consciousness must be encouraged. Just like I was quoting before, Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yogam Shikshatameka Purusha Puranaha. Whatever doesn't foster Krishna consciousness should be given up. So we have a whole custom-made understanding of Tyag and renunciation in Krishna consciousness. Okay? So it's Nishitam, it says here, Nishitam Matam Utam. Definite. It's my definite opinion. Krishna is speaking here. Okay, so now from 7, the whole, I would say, unfolding, starting from 7 onwards. He's going to, again, as before we have heard in chapter 14, chapter 17, he's going to break it down according to the modes, starting from 7. Okay, go ahead.
Text 7. Prescribed duties should never be renounced. If one gives up his prescribed duties because of illusion, such renunciation is said to be in the mode of ignorance.
So, thank you, Vignesh. So look at the Sanskrit. It's again proving the same old point. Look at the Sanskrit. Did you notice in the same verse, the 2 terms appear, sannyas and parityag. So it's putting the same on the same level, in the same bag. Sannyas and parityag. They are the same. They are the same. You follow? Krishna equates the 2 here. He has done it before, but again, he reiterates the same point. Sannyas or parityag, that is tyag, means the same. So that answers the question of Arjuna. What was the first question of Arjuna? 18:1. What was the first question of Arjuna in 1?
The purpose of renunciation and of sannyas.
Exactly. So he's answering right here in 7, sorry. Though some may think they are different. We discussed, Vishakshanaha, the wise, Chapare, others, the Kamimamsis, they have different opinion, but they are the same in Krishna's opinion. They're one and the same. And did you notice what Prabhupada does here? What does he do? In 7. How does he translate sannyas?
Renunciation.
How does he translate parityag?
Renunciation.
See, Prabhupada is totally faithful to Krishna. He doesn't.
Can I ask one question?
Yes, Prabhu.
About that quote from Borujan Prabhu that you mentioned. And you know me, I'm concerned with the social, aspect of ISKCON. And so my question is, if it's all about internal renunciation and outside engagement, as Lord Chaitanya, for example, told Raghunath Das Goswami before he took sannyas, right? When he told him, go home, don't be a markat vairagya. Why is it, and I'm sorry to bring up this topic, but I think it's appropriate, why is it that grihastas in the West shave their head unnecessarily when they don't have to, and put on an Indian clothes, Indian, village clothes, or traditional Vedic clothes, whatever, when the rest of society does not? Is that not as an example of the opposite of what Burijan Prabhu would be talking about, namely external renunciation and who knows what goes on inside?
Yeah. Well, personally, I shave up. I'm not fully shaved up, by the way, because as soon as my hair grow, it looks awful. I know. I mean, I noticed.
Funny.
As soon as
But okay, but you know what I mean, like the West, the
it looks
clothes
awful. Even 2 months without, it becomes disheveled totally. Unless if I perhaps wait five months, then could be looking okay. But there's anyway, I got your point. Yeah, externally renounce, internally renounce, and externally active. He used to say that. Well, I think it's beyond the dress code. You can follow this adage, this advice, this line, whether you are dressed in pants or dhoti. It's irrespective. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter. What counts is you follow those two lines. Internally renounce, externally engage, irrespective of your dress. Like Shukdev was naked, and he was certainly following that. So as I said, that's, I would say, an external consideration. The main thing is that line: internally renounce, externally engage. Because if we are only one of the two, let's say if you are only internally renounce and not engage externally, it's midway only. You are becoming Vairagi, a Falgu Vairagi. So it falls short of the mark. And the other way around, you are very much externally active, but not internally renounced. You become gradually, not overnight, but you may become a bogi. Bogi means Sanskrit Vishayi, basically. You're very active, but you're not renounced internally, workaholic, let's say. But if there is no sadhana behind, gradually Maya is around the corner and will catch you. So I would say the dress code is a byproduct of that, but those two lines are beyond the dress code. That's what I would say, because at the end of the day, you may be wearing pants all life and not be properly situated. And you may be wearing dhoti all life and not be properly situated also. Oh, Krishna, I wear my pants all life. But okay, my boy, but were you internally renounced? And were you active for the sake of Prabhupada externally? So again, it falls short of the mark. The dress code, this is, I would say, an external consideration. Like the monks doesn't make the dress. And it goes both ways. The pants doesn't make the dress, and the dhoti doesn't make the dress. That's my humble 2 cents opinion, I would say. If it was that easy, I would wear pants day and night. I think the real stuff is to be properly engaged and internally renounced, because we can be, like Krishna says in the Gita very early, Mityachar, a false pretender. It's so easy to go through the motions in ISKCON, and especially in terms of sadhana. After some years, you're expert as going through the motions of doing the activities, the sadhana with others. Even no one will detect. Are you really focused on Krishna internally? Are you internally detached, or do you still linger? Do you let your mind and consciousness linger on the sense objects? No one knows except you and Krishna, basically. And that may happen whether in dhoti or pants. So the real issue is, Buddha was always to the core of the topic, as usual, is internally renounced, but not one to the detriment of the other. You have to be also externally active. But the two should go side by side. Just like Bhagavat Marg and Pancharatriki Marg. Anyway, I hope you're satisfied with this. Okay,
Yes,
so
thank you. Thank you.
yeah, Adibol, you're welcome. So let's where are we now? 7, did we follow 7?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. So again, let's go back to the 7 before we move on. They're one and the same. Huh? It's very clear. Renunciation as translated by Srila Prabhupada. Even though others may differ, Krishna's opinion is very clear here. They are one and the same. So, because, we discussed way back, 247, Mate Sango Swakarmani, I don't know if you recall that verse. Renouncing your prescribed duties because of illusion results in further illusion. Just like hippie life, in the 60s, mostly 60s. They renounced the prescribed duties. They were anti-establishment, I would say. But that renunciation was based on illusion. So it resulted in further illusion. Didn't he? It was a major fiasco. And then Prabhupada came at the right time. The timing was great because he rescued. So that is why here is going to break it down. Right? This is basically 7 is what? You reject your prescribed duties in the mode of ignorance. That was the hippie life. Or we are detached. Look at us, we are detached. We have rejected the money of our fathers and grandfathers, the baby boomers, they made up America and Europe after the war. They're great working agents, they were working hard to rebuild the countries, rebuild Europe, rebuild America. But 7 explains that, well, if you renounce your prescribed duties, you're in the mode of ignorance, especially if you do it out of sheer ignorance, just like the hippie did. They had a good intention, but good intentions paved the pathway to hell. So that is why Prabhupada was the timing was expert, if you ask me. He could have gone to London, he wanted to go, but he said, no, let me go to America. Because the hippie scene was in America. And the timing was so perfect. Shema Sundar, all these devotees, they understood. Mukund, in those days it was Prabhu. They understood this is the time. And that was the foster. It fosters the whole thing from the start, The whole ISKCON, actually Brahmanand Prabhu told me himself, ISKCON didn't start on the East Coast. ISKCON started on the West Coast. He told me ISKCON New York was just an attempt, it was a trial. Krishna Prabhupada was trying, is it going to work? Then the whole thing started deity worship started on the West Coast, not on the East Coast. Okay. So, yeah, because remember, another topic we could bring up in the forefront also is that sannyasis in Krishna consciousness, there's a lot of sannyasis and it's meant to grow. They perform many activities that are generally not rigidly accepted in the Vedic culture, because Vedic culture is quite rigid. So sannyasis, even Prabhupada was criticized, like performing marriages, ceremony. So how do you justify such activities? Let's say someone asks you out of the blue, why are you engaged, making money, so much money? You're marrying Riyastas. So we can see how much Prabhupada was totally a revolutionary in terms of spiritual life. What he did was unheard of. He was highly criticized for this, actually. So what kind of attitude can we learn from that? You know, what kind of, from this, from his example, Prabhupada's example?
Is that Yukta Vairagya, using everything in the service of Krishna?
Yeah, yeah. There's a notion of emergency, and that is why it's not only enough to understand the mood of, you know, of our philosophy. Yes, I know the philosophy, but it's not enough. You have to understand the mood of the Acharya, his mission. There was always a notion of emergency. The place is burning. Do it now. Don't wait. Oh, I'm not ready. I'm too young. No, do it now. So there was a notion of sacrifice. Even there were casualties. When there is war, there's casualties. There's death. There's injury. Some sannyas fell down, but Prabhupada knew we have to push it now. Can you imagine if ISKCON would come now? Let's say ISKCON would start now. It wouldn't be the same. It's not the same timing already, 50, 60 years later. The timing was then. Prabhupada knew that. It is now. So whoever participated now, at that time, that goes to their eternal glory, even if they fell down later. If Prabhupada would come now, 2022, it would be a different story. It's not the same timing already. So the timing is totally supernatural here, even according to the philosophy on the study here.
Like even there is a verse which mentions that in Kali Yuga, there are 5 types of activities which are forbidden, and one of them is sannyas.
Yeah.
Now I have heard this that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura explained that this kind of sannyas which has been forbidden applies normally for karma kandis, which is like a kind of falhu vairagya, what we call about, where we artificially try to take a sannyas, but the real principle which applies for this Kali Yuga is yukta vairagya, which because of which all our acharyas have taken sannyas in spite of scriptures saying otherwise.
Yeah, even Mahaprabhu himself, he has been highly criticized, you know, leaving a widowed mother, the wife was 16. I mean, it's very clear, it's totally unheard of. Look what else Krishna says in the Gita, 245. Tregunya Vishya Veda, Nistregunya Bhava. We're not Vedic, strictly speaking. Reject the Vedas, Arjun, because they deal only with the modes. Okay, 8.
Okay. That me. Anyone who gives up prescribed duties as troublesome or out of fear is said to be in the modes of passion. Such action never leads to the elevation of renunciation.
It's amazing because in my Gita, it's a bit translated differently. Out of fear of bodily discomfort. You didn't say that. Did you say that?
No, this is a 72 version.
It's amazing, huh? Because here it says, out of fear of bodily discomfort.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway.
Here, he said, prescribe as a troublesome, you know.
Yeah. Anyway. So, kaya klesh boyatya jet sakritva rashasam tyagam. This is, now we're talking about 8, passion. Krishna consciousness, give up earning money, fear fruitive activities, all these things. But Prabhupada used to say, remember in 66, he was telling Sansarudas Maharaj, you're sannyasi. You're sannyasi. He told that. And was a Maharaj a sannyasi then? No, 66. Took sannyasi in 72. So why did he say that?
He was going out, you know, like to work just to support the temple.
Yeah. What is the definition of sannyas according to Gita?
Giving all the results of your activities to Krishna.
Yeah, 6.1. Anashrita karma phalam karma karyam kaloti yaha. Don't be anashrita karma phal. Don't take shelter of karma phal. Anashrita. Karyam karma karoti yaha, and work only as you are obligated. So we can see how Prabhupada is sticking to the totally sticking to the prerogative of Lord Krishna. And one who is in Krishna consciousness should not give up earning money out of fear that is performing fruitive activities. He told Sadhu Lotus Maharaj, you're a sannyasi. He's giving all his salary. If by working you can engage your money in Krishna consciousness, well and good. Well and good. Where's the difficulty? Where's the discrepancy?
One question also. I remember a certain point in ISKCON, they were telling, you just give up your family, give up, your job. I know many devotees just give up the job and join the temples, and do service at the temple. I have so many friends did that like that.
Yeah, so we have to analyze case by case, sometimes it's definitely a boost. It's wanted. Sometimes it's not wanted. So it has to be played case by case. Let's say you work in a butchery department, better you give up your work. That's for sure. But if you meant, if you have 3-4 kids and it's going to put them into jeopardy or destabilize their routine life, don't do that.
And also fanatic devotees said, oh, we should not work out because we associate with karmis, so we get affected and all this stuff. As this is all in the mode of passion, isn't it?
Yeah. But at the same time, if you are too weak, let's say you work outside to the detriment of your spiritual advancement, the guru has to ascertain that, or the temple president, whoever is helping that person, be careful. You can see the person is falling down. He doesn't have the adhikar to maintain his spiritual life working outside. So it has to be discussed, also. Like, for instance, rising early in the morning. Oh, it's tough. It's cold outside. Let me stay in my bed. It's troublesome. That's renunciation in the mode of passion,
Yeah.
So,
Even
yeah, go ahead.
even I was just thinking, I was just relating back to what Chandra Babu had told earlier regarding dress code. Like, for example, if someone if someone has normally we have a concept of like herd mentality. Like, suppose we want to be in a herd and we want to have that comfort zone, right? Now, suppose if if one person says that everyone is following a common dress code, it is a kind of that we are in a comfort zone. And if that is hindering our prescribed duty, like for devotees, of prescribed duty could be like teaching, making the outreach, like spreading Krishna consciousness. And if that is getting hindered because of being in that comfort zone, and we are trying to renounce it artificially, like Krishna talks about kaya klesh, bodily discomfort. That is a kind of, we want to be in comfort zone, right?
Yeah.
So we are not agreeing to go for outreach just because we want to be in that comfort zone. So it also could be a renunciation in the mode of passion.
Yeah, definitely. It works both ways. I remember in the 80s, Tridas Prabhu, when I joined, we were doing in Dhoti, book distribution. Then it was proven by, totally proven over multiple proofs that we could do much better in pants and clothes and shirts.
And I have a theory about that. It has to do with the demographics. I think when you were doing it with Tradas, you were still riding that wave of the 1970s and up to basically late 80s, which is that ISKCON was a monastic movement. The membership of ISKCON was only monastic. I mean, I suffered it or whatever. I experienced you're interested in Krishna consciousness? You got to join the temple. You got to stop your studies. That was the fate of every person who converted to ISKCON or to Krishna consciousness, had to drop whatever they were doing and lived in the temple. I mean, you were living with Leela Madhuri as husband and wife, but living very austere in the temple as full-time missionaries. And that was the case with the large majority of ISKCON membership. So when you have a monastery, you have a uniform, But now 99% of ISKCON members are financially autonomous. And so the issue of Yukta Vairagya as it relates to dress code has a whole different application, I think.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, now it's congregational.
Well, I spend most of my times in pants. You know, most of the time I wear pants, you know. So basically, a person influenced by the mode of passion, he knows he should perform his duty with detachment, but he rejects those duties as troublesome. And yet, nevertheless, he wants spiritual benefit. So then he may think, well, why should I work so hard? I will become a sadhu, I will become a sannyasi. So whether problems arise from the work or business or family, or the mode of passion pushes us to avoid those difficulties. Because you have seen in Grihastha life, it can be so tough. Sometimes the idea to reject everything in one go may pop out more than once even, because it's tough. It's tough. Especially when you don't get along and there's no matching whatsoever. But that would be the mode of passion, actually. Because the mode of passion, what is the mechanisms of the mode of passion? It pushes us to avoid difficulties. This is what it is. Rather than to face them in the mode of Krishna consciousness. So the mode of passion is it's a very wide understanding. As soon as you see within your system that you're trying to avoid certain difficulties pertaining to your practice, actually it's a mode of passion. So, you know, mode of passion is very wide understanding. We have to understand like this. As soon as you renounce work in that spirit, you will never get the result of renunciation. You know, it's antinomic. It's an antinomy, you know. Dichotomy, you say in English, dichotomy. Oh, I'm renouncing, but actually you won't get the result of that so-called renunciation. Because you renounce in the mode of passion. Apparently for outsiders, oh, he's so renounced. He will never get the fruit. Never. Why? Because he has renounced in the mode of passion. 9.
So one example, if you renounce something, the mode of passion,
Yeah.
then you go back again, you know, that's the thing that you renounce in afterwards.
Yes. Why do you think people get remarried at 60s, 70s? Because, you know, one marriage didn't work. Okay, let me try the second marriage. And the second marriage, basically, it is the open door. If you don't make it in the second marriage, then the mind will say, okay, you didn't make it, so try it now. Now it's going to work. And because you renounced your second marriage in the mode of passion, then you're not going to get the fruits of renunciation. And because you don't get the fruits of renunciation in the second marriage, because you didn't pursue in the mode of goodness, again, you're going to get remarried. If you don't get the fruits of renunciation, what happened? You get remarried. As simple as that. Why do you think people get remarried? 60s, 65, 68. Because they didn't get the fruits of renunciation. Why? Because they renounce in the mode of passion. Because of apparent and even difficult situation in the first or second marriage. This is my realization.
I think, in fact, most of the divorces that happen today is because renunciation in the mode of passion.
Yeah.
People don't want that any bodily discomfort of any sort.
Exactly. It's a
They
very
just have a lot of expectations from others, and then when the partner fails, then divorce happens immediately.
Yeah. So actually, if you stick it out, it looks. You may say, "Well, it's a mode of ignorance to stick it out." We don't match, but still, this is actually goodness.
Once you give up and never go back again, that means it stays in the, what mode was it?
Say it again, Goloka.
So one give up, your husband and wife and never get married again. Just stick to Krishna consciousness.
Yeah, so that's better, but that should be done with mutual understanding. You don't dump your wife when the boy is 8. I could do that. My boy is 8. That wouldn't be in the mode of goodness. So if you prepare the separation, you work it out, you prepare yourself and the wife and the kid. That's the mode of goodness. Okay, I intend to do it then because by then you'll be sufficiently financially sound. The boy will be around 20. It's like timing. It's pre-planning. That's mode of goodness. Then Krishna is going to sanction it. Sadvam sanjayate gyanam. Remember 14, 19? Sadvam sanjayate gyanam. Gyanam arises from the mode of goodness. Below that, it's not knowledge. Below goodness, it's not knowledge. It's avidya. Whatever it is. Whatever colors it takes, PhD, whatever, it's avidya. Gyanam sanjayate gyanam. It stems from the mode of goodness, real knowledge, minimum mode of goodness. 9.
O Arjuna, when one performs his prescribed duty only because it ought to be done, and renounces all material association and all attachment to the fruit, his renunciation is said to be the mode of goodness.
Yes, this is what we want, basically. So what is, please explain? There's a equation here. There's 2 components in the equation. What are those 2 components for goodness?
It has to be done as a matter of duty.
Yes. Plus?
And all the material associations should be renounced. Sangam.
Yeah.
All the material association.
Basically, the equation contains 2 components: prescribed duty, detachment. So again, we have seen, Burijan is so right, Prabhu. Internally renounce, externally active. That's the mode of goodness. That's Kama Yoga. Even a man working in Krishna consciousness in a factory, he gives up all the result in those days now. I'm not talking now. Sadhguru Das Maharaj, Sasvarup in those days, give them all the fruits to Krishna. That's transcendental even. That's even beyond. That's transcendental. Like Jananand giving 5 grants to produce Krishna book, or in 67 or 68. That's totally nirgun. Okay, so 10.
Those who are situated in the modes of goodness, who neither hate inauspicious work nor are attached to auspicious work, have no doubt about work.
Yeah. So what do you understand here, Goloka?
In any situation, you don't renounce the work, whether it's good, inauspicious, or bad, whether it's troublesome and not troublesome, you still work, you still do your duty.
Yeah. But not only that, I would say, it's a good start. It's a good start, Goloka. So you're saying, if I understood you right, you're saying, whatever I do, I stick it out. I sell meat, I should carry on my duty.
No.
Well, I'm just trying to understand. I just sell meat. My father was a butcher. I have to carry on the family business. It's really we have a big operation. I have to carry on with my butchery duties. So I'm going to carry on and offer the fruits to Krishna. Is that what you're saying?
Oh no, I'm saying that's where sometimes we think that this is inauspicious, we should not do. So you give me a different version, like completely like
You become baffled.
Yeah. I'm just thinking something like we don't like to do it. We think that inauspicious, we don't want to do it.
Yeah. So Vignesh, shed some light on this one. Let's see.
Yeah. So like in my understanding, I would again go back to the concept of Yukta Vairagya.
Yeah.
Like one shouldn't be like, even if one is attached to auspicious work, or even if one is attached or hateful of unauspicious work, it's like an attachment ultimately, right? Even we cannot be hateful to inauspicious work. That is also like an attachment. So the principle should be like Yukta Vairagya. No, whatever is helpful for Krishna consciousness, that should be accepted, and others should be rejected. And not just be artificially, be hateful of inauspicious work and attached to auspicious work. That is like more or less karma kand kind of conception,
Yeah.
or material conception.
Yeah, you got it right. You got it right. So basically, it's attitude and real discernment. Discernment should be quite, it's Buddha yoga, basically. We have to sharpen the weapon of discrimination beyond the doubts and beyond bewilderment, actually. That is why, according to Rupa Goswami, you have seen Nectar of Devotion, we should not be too attached and not too detached also to join Krishna consciousness. If you be too detached, you become a jnani. If you're too attached, you remain a bogey. So that is why oftentimes, did you notice that? Oftentimes in the Gita, Srila Prabhupada equates Krishna consciousness with the mode of goodness. I don't know if you noticed that very often, very often. He
You
equates,
see, at least we have to come to the level of goodness
Yeah.
to take to Krishna consciousness.
exactly.
But Krishna consciousness is beyond the free modes.
Yeah. But there's no question of Krishna consciousness. There's no goodness in the first place. You know? So, what is that verse? Tada rajasta mubhava kamo lobadaya shaye shitayate navidam stitam sattve prasidati. Unless we are rid of those two lower layers of tamagun, rajagun, there's no question of suprasidati, of becoming somewhat happy on the platform of goodness, someone equipoised, some other shan like that. So, in other words, we don't hate. We don't, like, you could be living with someone, apparently you hate the person. And when you are angry, you curse the person even. But another way to look at it is look at the good side of the person. Oh, this person has good qualities, actually. I'm always looking at her bad qualities or his bad qualities. But he's got some good qualities also. And because of that quality, I benefit. That's mother goodness. So you don't hate because she's struggling, he's struggling, just like you're struggling on your side. We are strugglers living together, basically. So you don't hate anything that trouble the body, that could go that far also. Oh, that troubled my body. You don't hate it. You take care of it, you try to heal it. But sometimes you become self-deprecating yourself, Because in Kali Yuga, people are self-suicidal. They have no self-esteem of themselves, even devotees, That's why you find even suicides in ISKCON devotees, because they have no friends, and a friend would have detected no shelter, he cannot share his problems. Let me just suicide myself. I've seen in Mayapur so many times, jumping from the roof, jumping from the balcony, So we should not hate. Yes, go ahead.
You can go ahead, Prabhu. I will ask later.
No, anyway, I'm finished. We shouldn't hate anyone or anything that even troubles his body or your body. It's whatever happens is for our self-purification. And we have to start from there, and carry on from that understanding. We have to purify ourselves. Apana shodite. So whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. Yes, Vignesh.
Yeah, so I was just thinking like normally no one is like in a pure sattva gun, right? Everyone has some mixed conception of everyone has a mixture of sattva, rajas, and tama
Yes.
in them, most of the people. So, but isn't it like normally when we are inquisitive of spiritual life, we want to enter Krishna consciousness. The element of passion is what is required, isn't it? Like for example, if one is in goodness and lot of also mixture of ignorance, then that spiritual inquisitiveness or passion to take up spiritual life may not come. But if one has some amount of passion along with goodness, isn't that favorable for taking up spiritual life?
Yeah, it's a very good point. Extremely good point, Prabhu. Yeah, Prabhupada explained in the first canto that a real guru, even from the abject mode of tamagun or rajagun, can even uplift the candidate. And why do you think Prabhupada has engaged us in hard work, going on the parking lots, selling the books in our mid-20s? Because we have to engage the passion. So you made a very good point. If you know how to properly channel the smoke in the fire, you can revive the fire, isn't it? Third chapter of the Gita. What are those three analogies regarding the lust, the calm in the covered consciousness? Remember, by proper use of the fire, of the smoke. Sorry, you can rekindle the fire by proper use in the mode of passion. You can either move up to the mode of goodness or go down. You have seen when you're mode of passion, you become tired, you become wiped out, and then it's stomach. But if you use that passion, that energy, that dynamisms to do things for Krishna, then that passion is going to bring you to the mode of goodness.
Yeah.
So that is why Prabhupada was so expert. He used to say, why do I have big projects? He would ask a rhetorical question. Why do I have big projects? Because I've got big men to engage. I've got big men to engage. I'm not going to give them small stuff. You're not going to give Tamal Krishna Maharaj, please run the Paris temple. He's going to give him China. He's going to give him an whole continent. Because they have lots of passion to engage. So you have to make sure, it's like keeping the fuel. You have to fuel up the fire. Passion means you have to keep on fueling that person into Krishna conscious activities. Otherwise, that passion will burn him down. He will become sidetracked. So make sure you engage him until he comes to the mode of goodness, basically. That passion propelled him to the mode of goodness.
Yeah.
This is the trick of passion. It has to be rechanneled, just like you rekindle the smoke in the fire. And if you know how to use the smoke in the chimney, the fire will be rekindled and it will be ablaze. And then there's no more smoke anymore. It's only pure goodness. So now the question arises, can one just renounce all work? Why not? Both the auspicious and the inauspicious. At one point, Arjuna was thinking like that. Well, let me renounce the whole thing, Krishna. I will renounce everything, auspicious, inauspicious. What does Krishna say in 11? He answers to that.
You do your duty and don't be attached to the result.
Yeah. Go ahead, 11. He answers.
Yeah. It is indeed impossible for an embodied being to give up all activities. But he who renounces the fruits of action is called one who has truly renounced.
Yeah. And again, same story. Real tyag is kamafal tyagi. We discussed in 18.2. Remember? That was the question of Arjuna. Krishna answers, kamafal tyagi. Which is better, Krishna? Sannyas or tyag? So sannyas, it's impossible to give up activities. We discussed 3.5. Everyone is bound to act according to the qualities he has acquired from the modes. How can you give up activity? Impossible altogether. 3.33. What can repression accomplish? Krishna says. And tyag is telling us we have to renounce the fruit. But what is the true renunciation? We learn in 6.1 definition of sannyas. Anashrita karma phal, kayam karma karoti yaha. Don't take shelter of the fruits and work only as you are obligated. So Krishna says in 11, nahi. Did you notice the Sanskrit? Nahi, never, never, most certainly never. Don't give up activities. That is why the hippies put their food in their mouths, because they give up activities. And they ended up worse than where they started off from. Never, never give up activities. This is the worst. There's nothing worse. But the clue is given here, kamafal tyagi, by giving up attachment to the fruits of the work. Yes, but no, don't give up the work. This is real tyag. That's the main thrust of the Gita. So many times we discuss. Tayos, there's a verse. What is, I'm forgetting the verse. Tayos tu karma sannyasi karma yoga vishishyate. I think it's 5.2. The renunciation of work and work in devotion are both good for liberation, Arjuna. But of the two, which is better? Work in devotion is better than renunciation of work. So that is why Prabhupada always do something, because otherwise we'll be caught up by passion. And then passion is right the next door to Tamagun. So that is why Prabhupada was always do it, push. Notion of emergency. It's a matter of life or death, actually. We cannot afford to slow down.
Yeah. But people still have a conception, right? They normally respect sannyasis a lot than the householders. As if they have, just because they have renounced everything, and just because they are respected a lot compared to the householders who may also be working in devotion.
Yes, but like Chandra Prabhu was saying, you can be markata.
Yeah.
Markata sannyas. Like monkeys naked, jumping, hopping from one branch to the next, but so many females and I'm eating only fruits, begging chapati. But you should give up. You should preach. That sannyasi, remember, can you imagine? He walked up and down the Ganga, all around the Ganga. Can you imagine? Miles and miles, thousands of miles. Came back to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He took his sannyas danda, he broke it into. Just go. Finish. Didn't get the point. If you work for Krishna, anashita karma phalam karya kamam karoti yaha. Not he who lights no fire and protect no duty. Not he. So this is the point. We are dealing with Karma Yoga here. Remember, it's a recap of the whole chapter, of the whole book, actually. Yeah. So the results achieved after death by both the attached and the detached are explained now. This is basically the end of Karma Yoga. The 12 first chapters are dealing with Karma Yoga here. Okay, go ahead for 12. It's a summary.
It's 12 o'clock, Prabhu. We're still continuing?
Yeah. Let's finish 12 because 12 is a conclusive verse.
Okay. For one who is not renounced, the threefold fruits of action, desirable, undesirable, and mixed, are crude of the death. But those who are in the renounced order of life have no such result to suffer or enjoy.
Okay, you please explain, Goloka.
It's a person in Krishna consciousness in the mode of goodness doesn't hate anyone, the Prabhupada said. or
Yeah.
anything that trouble him, the body. And also he work only in properly, and it's not fear, and it's not affected by fear and trouble in his duty.
Yeah.
And such person who is unaffected with is transcendental.
Yeah. First of all, Lord Krishna is defining three types. Strividam, kamana phalam. There's three types of renunciation of the fruits. What are those three? We're talking about, let's be clear here. So far, we have discussed different types of renunciation, okay? We have seen Sattvagun, Rajagun, Tamagun. And now Krishna is telling, for those who are not renounced, it's coming from a different direction now. It's a different league. For those who are not renounced, in other words, they're going to have a different set of values, different set of rules are going to apply now because they are not renounced in the first place. What happened to them? 12. Trividam Kamanafalam. They're going to get desirable stuff, undesirable, and mixed after that. So please explain now. And Prabhupada is quoting in the purport. You can, well, it doesn't say much, I have to say. But anyway, you can expand.
His purport is Krishna consciousness.
Yeah, it's pure Krishna consciousness. So let's try to understand here 12. Trividam kamana phalam. So what happened to those who are attached to sense enjoyment? Obviously, they fall under the undesirable. It's echoing again. What's going to happen to the Vishayi, to the Bogi? And they are attached to sense enjoyment.
Yeah. So they will then traverse the path of heaven and hell. Sometimes if they do good activities, they will go to heaven.
Yeah.
If they do bad activities, they will go to hell. Or if they do some mixture of both, they may stay on planet Earth.
Exactly.
In this way, they will suffer the result of their actions.
Yeah, they're totally liable to the results of their activities. Yes.
That asat.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. 1322. So they achieve, those who are attached to sense enjoyment, they achieve varied results after death from the activities they have performed. So in contrast, the Tyagi fixed in knowledge, he attains liberation. And again, did you notice in 12, again, Krishna is using those two terms, sannyas and tyag, in the same verse. Did you notice? To emphasize again and again, they are synonymous. See? Krishna has again established that the superior method of becoming Krishna conscious, of becoming free from the reactions of the work, is nishkam karma, renouncing the fruits of work, not the work itself. So this is the conclusion of the first 6 chapters. Never renounce work. Renounce the fruits, yes, but not the work itself, at no cost, unless it is totally detrimental to your practice of Krishna consciousness, obviously. So we'll stop here.
To add one last question on this aspect.
Yes.
Like renunciation in the mode of goodness, does that mean that in that mode of goodness, we renounce something, will not accrue the result, like in terms of mixture of going to hell or heaven, or in terms of whatever? Because what I understand is that if we are renouncing in the mode of passion and ignorance, we will still accrue the result that Krishna talks about in this verse, right? Mixture of going to like desirable, undesirable, and mix. That applies to both renunciation, the mode of passion, as well as ignorance, right? Or is it altogether people who don't renounce anything at all?
Yeah, here 12, it deals with those who are not renounced, Vignesh. They are not renounced. So for them, they're going to get the full treatment. It's Srividam Kamafalam. So the threefold fruits of action, desirable, undesirable, and mixed. But Krishna is giving the contrast in 12 also. But those who are in a renounce order of life, they don't have to incur any reactions whatsoever, either good or bad. So the first part of the verse deals with the non-tyagi, the non-renouncers, and the end part of the verse deals with the renouncers. Let's say the first part of the verse 12 deals with a vikarmi. Even a vikarmi, he may be eating meat and all these things, but he's got some good karma also. Let's say he gives 50 euros a day, a month to Red Cross, something like that. So there's some desirable karma there. And most of his life is ashub. Sometimes he's doing mixed means what? Oh, you're giving $5 to one mendicant and the guy's going to buy wine with the $5. So that's mixed. That's mixed. It's punya, but in a mode of ignorance.
Yeah.
So that's for vikarmi. But for us, even for a sannyasi, well situated, he doesn't have to suffer or enjoy. Because Prabhupada says in 12, that person is always liberated. Even a devotee, he may do something which is apparently against the code. Like one time, it's quite unheard of. Prabhupada, he was in Africa, he took $1 lakh from drugs. Can you imagine? One devotee, I don't know the details so much. He managed to get a deal on some kind of drug deal, and he made $1 lakh. The money was so black. I mean, can you imagine? You make profit from drugs. What kind of black money is this? He gave the money to Prabhupada, and he told Prabhupada, "Be careful, this is maha black money." Prabhupada said, "I'll take it, but don't do it again." So Prabhupada has the power. Just if you take $1 lakh coming from drugs, you can rest assured you're going to get stained with that, unless you are called Prabhupada. But Prabhupada told him, "Don't do it again. Finish." But Prabhupada didn't say, "Oh, it's immoral. Please leave me alone." No, he took it. He has the power. So, like that. Hare Krishna. So Chandra is gone with the wind, huh? He didn't stay long.
Yeah.
He sent a WhatsApp. Yeah.
Yeah, he'll always want to be exactly 12. Oh, that's it.
Sorry?
Yeah, he always stick to the time.
Yeah, he's not like me, I guess. Yeah,
I
definitely.
think we had just had a spontaneous discussion. So sometimes
Yeah,
if you go,
it's like that. My style. It's like I cannot just rush like a fool.
It's okay.
You know.
It's not bad.
Hare Krishna. So don't forget your 2 essays and your shloks. And your close book will be coming up at the end of the 18th chapter.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Hare
Hare
Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I'll send you the recording. Yeah?
Okay.
Hare Bol.